Hey everyone, welcome to Pop XP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the Pop XP channel. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here, Nile Scala with Pop XP. And tonight we have another exciting episode. And joining me is the most amazing, Frank Amazing. Brother, how are we doing tonight?
Good, doing well. Excited for this first recording, and let's get into it with Michael Oden.
Yes. So everyone, please welcome Michael Oden to the show. Michael, how you doing, my friend?
We're doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. Very excited. You have an awesome book out right now. It is your issue 0, Elysian Fields, and that's why we're here tonight. And this is what we're going to be talking about. So to start things off, man, please give us your origin story. How did you get into comic books?
So I think the origin story is pretty predictable as far as like where it all begins. I grew up a kid of the 90s, and I had 2 older brothers that were in high school, and so they got me into comics. It started off with things like watching Spider-Man the animated series and X-Men the animated series way back when. And then eventually it led to me sneaking into their room and stealing their comic books and reading them.
Did they beat you up when they found out that you were going through their comics? Or did they were like, all right, we'll let you?
I think being their little brother was like enough. Like they were in high school and they did all sorts. I have all sorts of stories about that. But anyways, but as I grew up, that really stuck with me, and I really got to delve into comics. And then about 5 years or so ago, I started writing about industry news and everything like that, doing reviews on comics, doing reviews on comic movies, everything like that. Doing that for it started off with not Heroic Hollywood, Movie Pilot, and then I made a blog of my own, worked for Heroic Hollywood for a little bit. That was an experience. And then eventually, recently I got up with Up Your Geek. And then, I'd always wanted to break into the creative side of things. As I said, I grew up with this. This is something I adored. And came close a few times, but it would I would always either hit a wall or just miss the opportunity or this, that, and the other. And so I just, with everything that had been going on, I just decided to take a leap of faith, and I made my own book. And well, now here we are.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you said that you got into the writing aspect of it. Did you ever dabble in the drawing part of it? Or was
Actually, that's where I started.
Okay.
I am by no means a professional. Like people have paid for like a commission or 2 here or there, but like I'm not at a point where I consider myself consistent enough to do a book, and I'm terrible at architecture and I can't draw animals worth crap, but I love character drawing. That was initially, it was this whole thing. It's like, that's what I want to do. I want to draw and write my own book. And like, it came to a point where I was like, look, I have fun with this and it's a good hobby, but like, I am not a professional. And so that was a big thing. And who knows, maybe someday, as I keep working at it, that might be a thing that I do if I'm ever at a point where I feel like I can look at my art in a book and be like, yeah, that would sell. But as it stands, I'm honestly really liking just being on the writing side of things and giving art direction, because I think that experience that I have had as an artist gives me a bit more of an eye on things that people who haven't had that side don't necessarily get. And I think that, it allows me to work really well with my art teams.
Cool, man.
So tell us a little bit about your writing process that you do.
Oh man, I actually just had to answer that same question here the other day. So for me, I am a very visual person. I've always loved movies and what have you, and so effectively, when I get an idea, it starts to play in my head like a film reel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I try and kind of focus in on that. I listen to music, this, that, the other, and I do the best that I can to break down each scene in that film reel into panels and give as much verbal detail as possible. And then I have a very open relationship with the people that do my art. Marcelo, the guy that I did Elysian Fields with, he and I were just weirdly on the same page. I don't think I've ever had to. I didn't have to send anything back his way, but I'm working on other projects now where I'll straight up set up times to call and talk to my artists and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and really explain it, and the results come back, and it's like they speak for themselves.
Now, who's with your writing process and developing what you're doing, I mean, what you're breaking down is very, it's almost like you're storyboarding, like really taking these descriptions and really giving it to your artists. So, I mean, building that style, I mean, has there been any creators, that you were reading, got to know and that inspired you to build this process?
So, I mean, there are a lot of creators and writers and what have you in the industry that inspired me and made me want to go into comics. But I think if I had to pinpoint anyone for any big thing, it would be Marv Wolfman. And the big reason for that is actually when I started working on Elysian Fields, I'd never written a script before. And so I was trying to take all these online classes and what have you on script writing to try and figure out the best way to do composition. And every single time I'd take one of these classes, it would be some pretentious dude talking to me about, this is what a protagonist is. This is what an antagonist is. Mm-hmm. And then this is how you structure a plot. I don't need any of this shit. I just need to know how to structure. And then I ended up buying a special edition of a book that I adore very much, Man and Superman by Marv Wolfman. And at the back of this special edition, he included I think it was the first draft of his script for the first issue or two. And that's how I struck. I mean, you can't really do better than somebody like Marv. He's a legend in the industry. And so I looked at his script. I saw, how he described things, and I familiarized myself with the language that I wasn't sure of before. And I focused in on that. And as a result, I think that, my scripts turn out to be pretty solid as a read. And help the artists really picture what I'm trying to go for.
Nice. Now you kind of talked about, getting into the mood. For this book, was there specific music that you listened to?
Yes,
was it movies?
I actively have an Elysian, and I do this for every single time I get in on a creative project. I find songs that I feel are in tune with the feel of the book, like what I'm trying to accomplish.
The soundtrack.
I create an entire playlist.
Yes.
That's awesome.
In fact, hold on here. I'll pull up the list right now. And I'll just read off a few of them. I'm not going to lie. There are going to be some ones that are probably like, really? Why? But
Midler. Bette Midler, what?
So Elysian Fields writing playlist. So I've got Black Veil Brides in the End, Age of Man. It's a instrumental track from a game. I'm blanking on which one it was. Berserk's original soundtrack, number 4, Guts. I also have Guts's Bonfire of Dreams monologue. Naruto, Sadness and Sorrow. As you can see, a lot of depressing stuff in here. My Hero Academia, you say run because it's amazing. Berserk 2016 Hayo and Berserk Forces Metal Remix. Warriors Legends of Troy, Achilles the Lion, Survive Said the Prophet, Munkyo, Too Close to Touch, What I Wish I Could Forget. And yeah, that's I kind of like, depending on what scene I'm writing, I'll just listen to one of those things on loop to kind of keep it in there. And that's how I do it.
Yeah. So now does each song kind of represent a different portion of the story? Like, does it help motivate you on the writing of it, or you just keep having this playlist play that just kind of keeps you almost inspired?
So effectively, like for instance, if I'm writing a Achilles battle scene, I'll either listen to I really dig this Berserk Forces Metal Remix, or I listen to Warriors Legends of Troy, Achilles the Lion, or Survive Said the Prophet, Munkyo, because they're these very, very heavy songs that fit for really cool action pieces. But if I want something a bit more solemn or what have you, or if I'm trying to tap into the emotions of these characters or anything like that, I'll listen to something like these instrumentals, like Age of Men or Guts, from the Guts theme from the original 90s Berserk anime. And then if I were to associate anything as a warm-up track, it'd probably be Black Veil Brides in the End, because it's just this epic ballad about what your legacy is. And that's at the core, one of the core foundations of Elysian Fields is the legacy of these heroes and how that carries on with them in the afterlife.
Well, that's cool, man. Now you're talking about this whole process, right, of what you're doing. But let's actually get into the campaign itself. I mean, I don't want spoilers though. Maybe a little bit. I don't know what you're willing to give, but tell us about Elysian Fields.
Oh man. Well, I can give you quite a bit. Where to begin? So the whole point of Elysian Fields is that there's a tournament in the underground in the underworld every 1,000 years, and the people that participate in this tournament are every global mythology has a respective god of the underworld or god of the dead, and so these gods participate in this tournament via teams of champions. These champions are representative of their cultural mythologies, and so they come and they fight in an arena. And the winner of this tournament becomes the next Lord of the Underworld. And so our 0 issue sets the stage for that. You get to see a little bit of a glimpse of that tournament towards the end, but it's predominantly getting Achilles there. You see the death of Achilles, and then you see where he goes after he dies, and then you see him being brought to the tournament. The big thing with Achilles is, and in fact, you guys have that beautiful Von Randall cover up as the background. And that piece is very intuitive to what Elysian Fields is about as far as the journey of Achilles. Achilles, the version of Achilles that I wrote in this is very much based off of the version of the character that we saw in the Odyssey, where Odysseus comes to the underworld and sees Achilles, and he's this very melancholic figure who regrets the life of glory that he led and wished that he had gotten a chance to live life to its fullest and be with the people he loves and cares about. And so that's the Achilles that we see in this book. Is he comes to the underworld and he reunites with the person who he loves, his companion Patroclus, and then he's taken from that and put in this tournament. And so in the reflection of Achilles' helmet, you see a scene from the book with Achilles and Patroclus together, and it's representative of this is the person that Achilles wants to be. And then you have that as the reflection in the helmet of him in full armor, ready to go for a fight. And so you have this conflict between the person that Achilles wants to be versus the person that he's always been. And that's really what his core struggle of Elysian Fields is because, the thing that's driving him is that Hades, and you will see this in the next book, but Hades makes a deal with him that if they win the tournament, he'll grant him his greatest desire, which will effectively, as we understand it from that next issue, is a second chance at life with Patroclus. But throughout this series, he's going to be fighting opponents that challenge him in ways that he never thought possible. And the old Hound of Glory starts to rear its ugly head. And there's going to be a point where you begin to wonder whether or not Achilles is going to continue with his original journey in trying to get this second chance at life, or is he just going to want to continue fighting in this tournament forever, and really test the extent of his abilities and gain more glory? And that's the big thing that's at the heart of Elysian Fields, is this struggle between the person that we want to be versus the person that we've always been. Can we really move forward?
Oh, I like that. I really like that, because I mean, it's true. That's something, right? We all want to be someone, but sometimes you can't help who you really are.
Yeah, and I think that Achilles is that perfect character to do that with, because as I said, in stories like the Iliad, and when you look at like the Little Iliad and all the stuff that we have from post Homerica, Achilles is this young, brash kid who, and a lot of people, discount, don't realize this, but Achilles was between the ages of 13 and 16 when he went to Troy. The Iliad, which is the 9th year of the war, that he's in his mid-20s. He's a young dude. So he's very impulsive. He's very brash. He's very quick to anger. And he's been told that he was going to be the most badass person alive since he was a kid. And this affects his psyche into making these decisions that he, quite frankly, wasn't ready to make. And so then you see him in the Odyssey, and you see Odysseus, who's expecting Achilles to be like living it up. And Achilles' response is, I'd rather be a beggar in the mortal world than the king down here. And that's he's this perfect character, because you see the regret that he sees in death in the stories, and it really goes to show is like, he's such a human character, because like, even though he, like in the Iliad, he's like a child throwing a temper tantrum 90% of the book, he still has this very human side of, I think, that everybody has, where the big reason why he acts this way is because he doesn't want to be forgotten. And now and then you see that he's in the underworld, and it doesn't matter that people are going to sing his story for eons. Another day in the real world with the people he cares about is all he really wants.
Yeah, that's incredible, man. So what other characters are we going to encounter in the book? Are you staying kind of true to the mythology?
I'm trying to be as authentic as humanly possible. As one of my big goals is, I grew up a huge mythology nerd, if you couldn't tell. But one of my biggest gripes, and this is one of the big reasons why I chose Achilles as my protagonist, was that every single time they've done an adaptation of the Trojan War, they've completely screwed up Achilles in some way or another. The closest I think that we've gotten was it was Troy, but they made him way too nice. They made him way too amicable. But the big problem that I have with that is that these stories are fantastic. You can get so much from them. And so, like, as for other characters that you can see on just Team Hades alone, you've got the probably most known Greek hero of all time, Heracles. You've got Theseus, the slayer of the Minotaur, and you've got Achilles, and that's the team for Hades, but you're going to see all sorts of people. The first person that Achilles fights in this series in that tournament is Gilgamesh, the first hero. You know, like eventually we're going to hit like the Norse pantheons, and I already have a plan on who that team's going to be. You're going to get some people from Arthurian lore. The next book, he's going up against Team Osiris, which is Imhotep, who's going to be really interesting. It was really interesting. I wouldn't say as a character, he's fairly one-dimensional, but the threat that he poses is very grand in scale. I'd say the far more compelling character to write from what I've done so far in Elysian Fields is definitely Osiris. But Imhotep is almost, I don't want to say like a MacGuffin because I don't want to degrade him as a character, but like he literally puts them in the situation that effectively is the first storyline.
So for you, because you have all of this, you know, on your own knowledge, you kind of loved mythology. How long did it really take you from early concept to get your project live on Indiegogo?
Oh man, so that process actually went really quickly because the Zero issue dealt with a lot of stuff that I was already familiar with.
Okay.
But so I did my initial draft and I sent it around to a group of, I essentially test marketed it. I sent it to 5 people I knew really well and 5 people I had I met in passing that I was friends with on social media. And the general consensus was fairly positive. The only thing that I got was, as a note, was a buddy of mine that I talk comics with all the time. Like, you're gonna need a hell of an artist to pull this off because there's it's solid, but this relies heavily on the action pieces. And if you don't have an artist that can pull it off, which we lucked out, Marcelo did the tremendous job.
And then you lost a friend too, because you're like, screw you.
Yeah. But that was my whole thing. Was I told him I'm gonna be pretty strict on who I hire on this, and I luckily found Marcelo in the least effort possible. I literally looked up freelance artist websites. I clicked the first one that came up on Google, and he was the second entry. And the thing that I remember standing out specifically was I was looking through his pencil gallery, and he had done a piece, a page layout for a God of War, a comic based off of the most recent God of War. And I was like, oh man, that's incredible. What, this is the kind of feel I want for my book. And so I got in touch with him, and his page rate was really good. Without him, this book wouldn't happen. But and that was the whole deal, is that this thing went really quickly. And in a way, I wish I had slowed down a bit and done more promotion out the gate and had taken my time with that. But I mean, I can't do anything about that now for this campaign. I can only, focus on the future. And I already have a pre-campaign marketing strategy going into the next book, because I'd like to hit I'd like to hit 20K on the next book, and I think that we have a lot of people coming in to do stuff for this book, and it's very possible.
Oh, very cool, man. And let's take a look at the campaign. So I mean, you're currently at $8,365. You're $1,000 over your initial goal. And this is currently in demand, and hopefully you can break that 10K mark by, is it Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday is when we are taking it off in demand. We're going to be starting to promote the next campaign throughout August, and I also felt like this was a good way to kind of close off and end our second wave. So that way I could get the order into the printer for the floppies and the black and white cut and everything like that. And so the backers of the second wave will probably be getting their books towards the end of August or early September. Honestly, I feel really bad because and I did what I could to make it right for the international backers, but we're setting out the international books here this week from the first wave because I completely underestimated how much work goes into distribution. And got my ass stomped.
Oh, jeez.
like it was an exhausting process, and just getting the first wave of fulfillment out, like I'm doing right by the people and everything, and everyone's that's gotten their books has absolutely adored it. But we had like a few people where addresses weren't inputted correctly. And so I had like, I think 2 or 3 books that got returned to sender. So I'm getting in touch with them and like offering them free digital copies or as a way to make up for the lost time. Or if they wanted, like, one of the guys, you know, their book got returned to me, and I was like, hey, would you like would you like a digital copy? I can throw, or would you like me to include like a black and white cut when that comes out? I did everything I could, but yeah, like distribution really kicks your ass, and that's something that I'm going to be coming up with a much better plan for the next campaign. And you know, when we're going to the second wave, obviously I'm going to be a bit more organized about it. And I thought that I was organized for this one. I had like my own spreadsheet and everything, keeping track of everything that we needed to keep track of. But man, there's just some things that you think you've prepared for enough, and you just won't know until you get hit with it the first time.
Yeah, and that seems to be we get that a lot from creators. Like it's always like the fulfillment part that is always the most tough to grasp. You know, people don't understand like how much is involved with that, and it just takes. I think it takes like always that first campaign to just break through that cobweb of just like all this craziness, especially like with the international stuff. So I think it's cool what you're doing to kind of compensate a little bit for any shortcomings in that. But I mean, what is there's a new creator out there coming to you saying, man, hey, I'm going to start my Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I mean, what should I do? What is the biggest thing I need to focus on?
Oh man, the biggest thing that I would recommend for a creator to focus on is promotion. In all honesty, any new creator that's coming into the field and it's their first thing, you need to make sure that you've been on at least 3 talk shows before you even before you even launch. Like you need to be in pre-launch, pushing a mailing list, this, that, the other, before you even hit that launch button, because otherwise you're going to be, and I was this way completely the first week. I remember I spent 72 hours straight, pretty much sending out the campaign to everyone that I knew, talking to people, doing all of that, and just not seeing the numbers rise the way that I wanted them to. And like, I had an anxiety attack one night. My wife was just like, you need to stop. You're not allowed to look at your phone. I'm taking it. You need a break. Like, when's the last time you went without looking at it? Like, well, but you will be fine. You just calm down. And we made it there, and I'm so grateful to everyone. But it wouldn't have happened if I didn't get into the circles that you need to get into and talk with other creators and get on shows like this and what have you. It is so crucial that you make sure that you have some form of established reputation in something before you even just launch. Make sure that you come up and do something that A, gets people paying attention to you, and B, establishes yourself as professional.
Exactly. Now let me ask you though, how challenging is it to work full time, do what you're doing, and then also creating a book and crowdfunding? Because as you were saying, social media is huge.
It's
You are constantly marketing and selling your product and yourself as a creator. How do you balance it?
The honest answer is it just that you can't allow anything to ever stop. You go like I am fortunate in that I work in a job where I can literally mess around on my phone like the entire time. But like even then, like I'm at a point where, you know, when I started my campaign, I had 5 followers on Twitter. I have over 450 now. I think I might even be over 500. And that was all work that I did in the span of 2 months. You know, and we're still getting people coming and following the page because, you know, at least, the book has been getting to people and people are talking about it and they like the book, which is great. That feels awesome. But like at the end of the day, you have a full-time job when it comes down to promotion. It never stops. In fact, it is like you are working overtime all the time. Because as I said, like, you know, there are nights where I've been up till like 2 or 3 in the morning, just doing tweets, just to have my name out there. Like even if it was doing something stupid, like getting into an argument with some with some like kid over something dumb. Like at the end of the day, that's a footprint, right? Somebody is going to like what I said, and then they check out, oh, this guy has a comic book. Well, let me follow him and find out more about it. And you know, I took a lot of lessons. Adam Post has a YouTube channel that did a whole thing on how to structure your platform on Twitter and get followers. And any newcomer, I highly recommend checking that out because that did wonders for me. It was a good way to get my foot in the door. But like it is not an easy thing because, as I said, you know, it's a full-time job and then you're working full-time and then you're like, you know, you're working on scripts or you're doing drawings and this, that, the other. It's very hard to balance. And I think just the best way to put it is do as much as you can on the time that you're at work, depending on what work you are in, obviously. And then just make sure that whatever you do on your free time and at your home, you allow yourself at least 2 to 3 hours a day to unwind and like be with friends, be with family, what have you. Because if you allow this to consume yourself, you're going to go nuts.
Yeah. No, that's we know what that's all about. I mean, even you know, like producing this show and stuff, it's crazy. But yeah, man, this campaign looks great. You know, it's awesome. You've made your goal. It's an awesome story. The artwork's phenomenal in this book. And you know, I got to ask you though, man, why Elysian Fields? You know, why should people back this book?
Oh man, what a question. We're in a time where I think people crave a lot of escapism. You're not going to get much more of an escape than watching mythic heroes from the past battle each other to allow their respective deity to become the Lord of the Underworld. It's a completely ridiculous and far-fetched thing that allows you to just kind of unwind and enjoy something without having to worry about any of the stuff that's going on. And on top of that, it's written and drawn by people who care. Have a lot of passion for this material. You know, as I said, I grew up a mythology nerd, and you know, the Iliad was my bedtime story growing up. And then Marcelo, our artist, is also a big fan of mythology and has even put in, you know, his overtime in doing research on things. His design for Gilgamesh was actually very different than what I had initially put out in my art direction, but he went and researched Mesopotamian kings and everything, and like Gilgamesh looks like he's been ripped off of a stone tablet. Like it's incredible. Yeah,
no, it's awesome. Now the designs though, real quick, you your character design, because I know that you draw as well. Did you submit illustrations along with the actual written descriptions, or did you just go straight off written art descriptions?
Not really. I would like for like minor details, like what kind of sword I wanted somebody to use or anything, I'd send in reference images.
Yeah.
But for me, and this is an important philosophy for me with anyone that I work with, is I want my artists to be equally invested in any project that I do. And so I put out like how I kind of see things, and then I allow my artist to let their mind run wild. I want to see how they envision what I say, and allow them to put their thumbprint on it. Because without that, I feel like that is how you really ensure that you get a purely passionate project where everybody's 110%.
Nice, man.
Now, as we've mentioned, you're about to finish On Demand. Now, when you're done, are there things you can talk about? Like what's next?
So the next book is called The Pyramid Gambit.
Okay.
And initially I was planning on this being like a full-on graphic novel that would be close to 200 pages. And as exciting as that would be, when I was looking at the numbers and everything, I was like, there's no way. But we're still going to be doing a graphic novel style thing. It'll start off by finishing what was set up in the 0 issue, and then you'll get the first part of them going up against Imhotep, which is still we're still looking at around 60-70 pages for that book. So it's still going to be like a big hefty book. The storyline is effectively going to be they go up against Team Osiris, and Team Osiris is Imhotep, the creator of the pyramids, and he traps them in a pyramid that is a multi-layered puzzle that is effectively triggered by a new page of the Book of the Dead. So every single time that they complete a puzzle, they get a new page of the Book of the Dead, which gives them a clue to how to solve the puzzle, and they move forward.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. When do you plan on going live with that?
September timeframe. Hoping for early September, but it honestly, I want to make sure that we have a whole bunch of hype build up for the book before I even launch. So it'll all depend on how many people have subscribed to the mailing list. Are we going to be having people that are going to be instantly getting this? And I have no doubt that we're going to have people flocking to this. We have so much talent coming on. And that was one of the big things, is that I invested a good majority of our profits that we made off of the first book into making this as enticing of a project as humanly possible. So we've got Kevin Sharp from the Dragon Guard and his colorist Alonzo doing a cover.
Nice.
We have the great Scott Rosema is doing a cover for a hardcover collector's edition of the book that'll have the 0 issue and the Pyramid Gambit, and we'll only be having 50 of those, I think. 50 to 100. It's going to be a very limited print because it's hardcover, and them's not cheap.
Yeah.
And then we have the main cover done by Marcelo. We have at least one upcoming artist variant, and we have Ted Lehman is going to be doing a line art variant of Achilles fighting Gilgamesh.
Nice.
So we've brought in a lot, and I believe both Kevin and Scott are donating their original art to the campaign for sale as well.
Awesome.
So we're doing everything that we can to make this a project that people want and succeed, so that we can continue to make these quality books.
Cool, man. We look forward to that. So keep us in the loop with that. Let us know what you have going on. We'll get you back on the show. So Michael, please let everyone know how they can follow you, stay in touch with you, keep an eye on what projects you have coming up.
So the easiest way to do that is either by following me on Twitter at Elysian Fields _0, or hitting me up on Facebook personally with at Michael. My name just Michael Oden. We also have a Nine Realms Publishing page up on Facebook, which is another good way to keep in the loop. I am not as good as I should be about keeping that up to date, but I try to get on there at least once a week to keep updates. It's just very hard when you've got Twitter, you've got your personal Facebook, and then you've got your Facebook page. And it's one of those things, man, when I can afford it, I'm totally hiring a social media director. Ridiculous.
And for all you lovely viewers out there, make sure to check out Elysian Fields issue 0. It is on demand till Saturday. And that's August 1st. After that, it closes, and then it's on to fulfillment. So, man, thanks again for coming on the show, Michael. This has been fantastic. It was great learning about you, your passion, your drive, this story. And we're looking forward to seeing what else you have coming out, man. So please definitely keep us in the loop, and we'll definitely have you back on the show.
Absolutely, man. It's my pleasure.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on another exciting episode of Crowdfunding Comics, brought to you by Pop XP. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.